Council service meeting and meeting before and after.
Might change it there.
Any corrections?
I change it there.
Wait, I just have one comment.
Yeah, I like this current setup where they're both the same thing.
Have fun.
Was in the budget workshop minutes. Motion I made to change the deputy coroner on-call rates from 125 to 110, 125 proposed. Okay,
Yeah.
I think that should,
Should be said. Any other corrections?
And then what about the minutes for last month's meeting?
I think we approved them.
I thought we just did the word.
Our historian now, but we already.
Oh.
No, I said she
We
keeps
did
on track.
we did the three, but I don't know if we did the regular.
Yeah. Okay.
One for her, I think.
Let's wait till we get them in front of us, where we approve them, so let's approve what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
I look for a motion to approve what we have in front of us.
So move with the correction.
Second. That moves with the correction, and give a second, all those in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Aye.
Clear, okay, sorry.
Morning, Larry.
Let's go around.
Morning.
We're crowded, we'll try to get through this one.
I don't know anything.
Kathy?
I guess I'll just start out, as you all know, I'm going to be losing Lori. I have a whole lot that I could say about this, but I'm not here to sabotage this position for her. I would like to comment on a couple of things that were said yesterday at Public Safety, just so that you are all aware. Lori started in the county clerk's office in November of 2010. And Lori came on at the starting position of the 24-1. Okay, currently Lori is making $39,675. 5,000 of that is her chief deputy position. And in listening to Public Safety yesterday, Mr. Nicholson made the comment that the county clerk would probably just be promoting from within. The payroll position is not a so-called promotion. I am a union office, and I have offered this to all of my staff. Again, they would be moving from their current position to payroll with no increase in salary. So the payroll position does not come with a promotion. So now I am looking at replacing this position at the starting wage of $25,600. So if you look over the last 10 years, the starting wage has only increased by $1,500. So again, there's a whole lot I can say, but I'm not gonna say it in a public meeting.
It's gonna be hard to find that, replace that commitment
Absolutely it is.
for that salary.
And then again, if you go ahead and you bring somebody else in at a higher salary, then you tell me how I'm supposed to keep morale up for my employees that have been with me 17 and 18 years, and you're gonna have somebody else coming in higher. I mean, this is what we talk about continually, and it just continues to happen time and time and time again.
What can we, what's the union allow for somebody to come in, to bump them up for, they've been in the business or,
I have to go before the negotiating committee to approve anything above the starting wage. And then what makes this doubly hard is in this union contract, we have no salary increase December 1st. So this person is not going to get a bump after a 6-month probationary period. But I certainly am glad that I've made life wonderful for the sheriff and the coroner. And that's all I've got to say.
all right, so we're gonna have to address that if that goes down to bring
The
somebody
new
in.
position that was created in the
Doesn't
sheriff's
that position
office
have to be
for
voted on?
coroner and sheriff.
And this position is still in limbo because the board has not voted on it. I appreciate Kathy what you're saying, but just point of clarification.
Well, okay,
Okay.
I'm not gonna, no, I'm done. And then I just have the Joseph Meyer resolutions coming up farther on the agenda.
No, Charlie?
No, sir, thank you.
Stacy?
Last month I had mentioned that we were losing a probation officer, which she did leave. I did get a replacement who just started on Tuesday with us. So we are back to being full staff. Also, just a side note, we have a Veterans Treatment Court graduation scheduled for this afternoon at 3 o'clock, which would be nice if we could have some county board members in attendance. It was originally scheduled to take place at the Veterans Memorial Park in Dixon. However, due to the weather not cooperating with us, we're moving it to the old courthouse in the county board room. We have 3 graduates that we'll be recognizing today, and we'll have Daughters of the American Revolution and Quilts of Valor will be present there.
All right.
And that's all today.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Stacy?
What time did you say, Stacy?
It's at 6 o'clock.
In the boardroom.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mike? Right?
It's not in here.
Well, isn't that him up there, or is that just ours?
That's the
Okay.
setup.
All right, so you got- Greg Saunders?
Yes,
You got anything you want to share with the committee?
Potter. No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Mike, you want to ask them to come in, who's off here, I don't know. Pardon? Go ahead.
We're here on behalf of Aldina Solar LLC. With me today, I've got Keith Bolin, Jenny Munson Miller, and Amber Miller. They're probably familiar faces that you've seen of Geronimo Energy. We're just here to summarize, basically, Aldina Solar appeared before the Zoning Board of Appeals. We had 5 nights of actual evidentiary hearings and then 2 nights of fact-finding sessions. At the conclusion of those sessions, the ZBA voted unanimously to recommend the project to the board. At this point, we're just here to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Any questions? Larry, you have any questions?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we just did. Yep.
Speak on the agenda is the Procom card readers. And it's for the EOC project, so I wanted to share that with you. As of yesterday, though, I talked to Dave, and we're actually gonna try to get another estimate for the same card reader system. But right now, through Procom, which is predominantly done the entire new courthouse for the card access system, for the EOC, it came out to $12,927. And you need to add another $3,700 to that, because there was another door that we found that gains access to the EOC from the outside along the alley entrance to the back of the EOC. So that would actually be closer to $16,000 is the estimate from Procon for what we believe to be a reimbursable cost for the EOC build out. The other 3 card readers that are on this proposal are 2 for the judges that they've requested, and 1 more for the state's attorney's office. And so these are the estimates that I have for those additional costs. Plus, while they were there, we found that our system is actually full, which means that we have to add a new panel. And you can buy panels in 8, 16, 24. So we bought 16, proposing to buy 16 more access points, I guess you'll say, for 16 more doors for the future. So we're gonna eat up about 8 of them right now. So that's why we went with the 16 panel in anticipation there might be 8 more doors sometime in the next few years. Somebody's gonna want to use a card reader for, and that's part of the cost. In addition to that, and part of the cost is the removal of the panel from the old LAC, which we're gonna have to do at some point in time anyway, and move it up into the chief bailiff's office. So we have control of everything at the new courthouse and just get it out of the old building. That was $604. So That's all inclusive of the card reader system, and that's from Procom only. Right now, we're getting another bid from another electrical company that does some low voltage work. And hopefully I'll see that by the end of the week or early next week.
And that total is 16,000 and some change.
For the EOC reimbursement, the number is about 16,000. It's 12,927 plus 37,87.
16,700, yeah.
And then the rest are for, like I said, the 2 doors for the judges.
But what is it cost?
What is the rest? Yeah.
Okay. You want to copy this?
Yeah.
No, I just, the numbers, I just.
Let me read them off. So this is what we believe to be covered by the EOC. In addition to this door right here, that's the outside access door.
Okay,
And the rest of these are the additional costs for the attorney judges and the removal.
another $8,000. Okay.
Are those, replacements for the judges and state's attorneys? I thought, or did they have doors that weren't secure in the past?
They had, these doors that never had a card reader on them.
Okay.
Yeah. We got 2 of the judges done, 2 that need to be done, and then the state's attorney's office, back entry door has never been read.
Okay,
We can get reimbursed from them, do you think, or even state's attorneys or not?
That one's a little bit iffy. That's not part of the EOC project, so I would, I hate to say yes or no. I know, I don't believe so, but from a card reader access, I think everybody knows that's the higher end security. Yeah, we're not losing keys, I can shut these cards down in 3 minutes if somebody loses one. And, so it makes a lot of sense.
Give or take.
yeah, okay.
This is immediate, this isn't for next fiscal year, or?
No, this is because it is required for the OC build out.
Okay.
Can we vote on that, as part of the EOC today, or is that part of your presentation maybe?
I would say we can vote on it now or as part of the presentation.
Any other questions?
I guess if we're getting an estimate, you could vote on and say no higher than.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So maybe we could go ahead and start on it.
These costs.
Tom, any questions with that?
No, I just, no.
I didn't entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Second?
I did.
Okay,
Alan
what
first.
was the motion specifically?
Authorize payment up to the amount that they specified,
16,000.
whatever.
Well, you doing the whole thing.
Well, I would do this, because you're gonna rebuild
Well,
it.
you'll see.
Yep. What is the project? What was the number?
25,000. 25,000 is a couple hundred over it, so that would be a max.
Yeah, whatever the,
As long as you're bidding out that whole package.
It will be.
So up to 26,000? Is that
Yeah,
covered?
that sounds good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Anything else?
This isn't on the agenda, but we did briefly discuss it last month. This is accurate controls, and I think I talked about it in budget hearings. This is the controls for the jail. And I talked to Mike a little bit about it this week as well. This is the service contract agreement, and out of my realm, so I wanted to make sure that Mike looked at this contract as well. They offer a 1-year and a 3-year contract for a service agreement essentially to come in and repair any of the technology that's installed in the jail, which involves all the cameras, the computers, the door lock mechanisms, and the whole 9 yards. Just to give you a little background, we've had them there recently, the last, I would say, month and a half to finish up what I believe to be warranty issues. Their warranty unfortunately started August 31st at the end of our substantial completion of the project, according to them. According to me, it didn't really get put in place until November 19th when we actually had inmates in there where we would start working out the bugs of the system. So we're still kind of going back and forth on the warranty, but what is being repaired right now is under the warranty because it happened before August 31st. There's a litany of issues. They're not anything real big, but they could be. If we don't get these cameras fixed and some of the other technology that's in there right now. However, if we don't sign a service contract, we kind of roll the dice. It's like insurance. You may use it, you may not. A 1-year service contract is $12,165.84 for just 1 year. They offer a 3-year that allows us to pay $15,000, $12,000, and then $8,000 last year. So it kind of goes down each year, but it ends up being about $35,000 total for 3 years. That's a lot of money in my world, in the IT world. You know, again, Mike looked at the contract and he thought some of their costs, even with the contract, as far as their service calls or per diem that were built in, we do get a percentage break when they have their service calls, but it's still like $94 an hour, even with the contract. The per diem rate is quite high as well. So I'm really at a crossroads right now. I can't really recommend one way or another. I just know if this system goes down and we're a 24/7 operation, I can't go that long without somebody repairing it. If I don't have a service contract, we're relegated to daytime service Monday through Friday only. Otherwise, we're paying emergency calls anytime at night or on weekends, and that's about $200 an hour for a call. So I just wanted to lay that out to the committee. Zach, do you
I
have
had a question. Are you referring to the I'll say workstation, because it's not server, for the running not powerful enough to run the cameras?
Yes.
Have you brought it to their attention that they pick the specs for those models?
Absolutely.
And that when you're running as many cameras as you are, you need quite a bit of horsepower to do so?
Yes.
So in which case, why then did they not put in beefier at the very beginning?
Yes. Yeah.
So shouldn't they take responsibility for that?
Yes, and we've already talked about
Okay.
that. And if another computer is needed or something, like you said, with more horsepower, whether it be a third station or 2 other computers with more horsepower, like you were saying. it's
Well, I mean,
on the-
they knew how many cameras to begin with. What I'm saying is most places, they would go overkill at the beginning when you open the building so that you wouldn't even be in this position.
Correct.
Just
Yes.
a technical viewpoint.
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of behind the scenes conversation are going on just like that. So
Okay.
I want to get these fixed before we even entertain the thought of a service contract and get these warranty issues taken care of. But I guess moving forward, it's something I'm going to probably bring up to the committee again next month, something to think about. And I'll talk to Mike a little bit more and see what he recommends. But that's kind of where we're at with that now. I guess we could roll the dice and not have a service contract with them. I'm not really comfortable with that either, but I know it's expensive either way. So
They include the water management system. So it'd be cameras, water management,
hardware,
since it was all,
there's some, no, it does not include hardware.
okay.
No, it doesn't.
Went through a committee, or did you take it through properties?
Yeah, it came through property. I mean, one of the discussions was early on with Johnson, my recollection was they were offering a 3-year contract with us because there was some question about when we went into it. And so Rick Stone is following up on that and seeing if they had a record of that. If not, we'll need to do it something, either recognize that it'll be a per diem an hour charge or do the service contract possibly for this. I think that was kind of the thoughts, at least by the properties committee, was not do a 3-year, but possibly do a 1 year.
Right. So, yeah, just move it on. All right.
Thank you. Paul, I have a executive, anything you want to share before we go into treasurers?
Due date was last week. I haven't actually run the report. No, I don't have anything to share. Nothing.
All right, let's go right into your treasurer's monthly reports, huh?
Okay. So, I sent out the report about a week ago or so, so if you have any questions, let me know. I don't have a specific report on that. I do have this updated information. This is the latest as of yesterday's collections. So property taxes, we have 2 more to go. We should be probably, we should be about collecting what this budget amount is. County sales tax, there's 3 different kinds. So if you get down here to the summary at the bottom, we've collected 1.3. What we should have been collecting about at this point is 1.1. So we are ahead of the game. I think that is primarily because of the local use tax, which is where the online sales come flowing through. So that is up from prior years, and I think will come in a little over what we had budgeted, because we budgeted for the year 370, we've already collected 383. So that is kind of saving our behinds, but we're still doing okay when it comes to the other two forms of tax. We're not really as far behind, I think, as I thought we would. So, state income tax, we haven't gotten the September payment yet. But as far as income tax goes, we're looking pretty good too. We're probably a little ahead of the game there also. So that's nice to see. Public safety tax is the only problem area. We've collected 891. At this point, we should have collected 958, so we're about 60 in the hole.
What's our two payments on that a year? Or what is our payments, bond payments?
It's about $1 million.
Yeah, so it's 650 and 3 something, right?
Yeah.
So we should at least make that anyhow.
Yes. So in the budget for next year, so I guess we're gonna have to make that a little bit bigger. Ooh.
I think you had $60,000 of other costs on there that we might struggle with.
Well, so what I did. Okay. I lost it. Can't see. Okay, so blow this up. In the budget for next year,
You're a better door than window.
Do you see? I can see that.
in the public safety fund, here. Okay, so this is the budget, it's looking like maybe we'll bring in $1 million, maybe it'll be a little bit more than that. So the bond payment is gonna be $1,028,000 next year. There is maintenance costs and utilities for that building that's still in here. So to make ends meet in that fund, we're gonna need to move $143,000 out of the general fund into there to balance that budget next year. And that is already in the general fund amount.
And we figured how much coming in, $1 million? Is that what you,
Yeah, I've got $1 million budgeted.
what do we got on track for this year to bring in?
Well, this was on track at mid-year, we should be bringing in 1.60. So I might be a little conservative here. So then I could cut that 143 by 60.
I think the $1,060,000 is reasonable too, because usually you're bringing in like $1,180,000 or something, so you're down 10,000 a month.
Yeah.
We're surely hit that, I would think.
Yeah, well, because it looks like we brought in in 18 and 19, 1.14 both years.
So I got a question, is the online sales help that too, or not?
No,
I don't think so.
no, because it comes through that use tax.
Right. But if you bought it here, it would cover it, right?
If you bought it here, you would pay it here, yes.
That's just, that's the difference. Okay.
Now that change then will help the general fund a little bit too, because we won't need to transfer quite as much.
Yes. So it's,
So that's, I guess, kind of the update on the revenues, and unless you have any other questions, that was all I was gonna cover today.
do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Marilyn, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Aye.
There's not a quarterly this month, it'll be next month.
There's no quarterlies this month. Insurance report, Tom?
We'll have a meeting, we're planning a meeting for next Thursday, gotta get our agenda out, but,
Okay.
in the afternoon.
Redco, Lyra, are you gonna report, can I share this? Lyra? I think we lost Lyra. adjourn, didn't we, or still?
No,
Yeah, Bob, yeah, I'm here.
Can you give us your retro report, or do you have anything to share this month?
I don't have anything this month, no.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you.
Gabby, went for monthly resolutions, Joseph Meyer.
And that's the resolution sheet that needs to be signed by the finance committee. I think Becky sent you all the
Yep.
copies of the resolutions,
We
so.
got an email to us, so.
I think they're the packet there too.
Any questions on the resolutions? I need a motion.
So moved.
Yeah, Tom moved and, Jim seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right,
Let's move to executive,
now we,
or just approve it.
all right, let's go to old business update from Dave Bowers for the new emergency response center, EOC.
So, the new emergency response center, you'll see we did get final numbers firmed up with NBS and they are at the level that we had before. I have a contract, 223, 268, 73. That's with firmed up numbers from all the subcontractors. We need to sign this and then they can start work, start ordering material in about 3 days, they'd start work.
This is the build out of the one
This
that.
is built out of the third floor.
Is this adding a bathroom?
Yes.
Can I question why we're putting a bathroom in there? When there's a bathroom literally 10 steps down the hallway. Okay,
It's desired for the function of the.
and
of the
why would they need a bathroom in there when they've got one 10 steps down? Like, what situation would occur where they couldn't leave and walk down the
Understand.
hallway? Just because, here's my concern.
Mhm.
I think you guys are, it sounds like from some emails that I saw that we were going to run out of that COVID money. And one of the projects was to like trick out this room, which I think we desperately need some more technology in this room for presentation and stuff. And if we're gonna put a bathroom in somewhere that maybe isn't all that necessary and have to forego some technology elsewhere, I don't know that that's the best decision. Thank you for giving me my warning.
Is this what we thought it was gonna be originally?
Yes.
Okay. What was the number? 223, 268. That's around there.
I believe that matches what we had before.
So how much are we allotted for COVID? What is that number?
I thought it was around 450, but I don't remember for sure.
So this is 223 of it. and
We would give.
548.
Seriously, I would seriously think about that bathroom, honest to God. I mean, what's the scenario? Are
What is
we
it?
thinking nuclear fallout and that's the only place that's gonna be safe, so they need a bathroom? Or military coup and that's the only, I mean, you know, if any of those things happen, that room isn't gonna be any safer than anywhere else. And if somebody egresses that building, that room isn't safe. So if you're running out of cash, I'd seriously
Well,
think
I
about
think we
cutting
need
a
to
bathroom.
look at all that's on that list.
Mhm,
I'm not here to defend the bathroom or
fair enough,
tear it down, but
fair enough.
that is desired.
But you are running out of money elsewhere.
That, we've got to, I
So-
believe that's true.
You are running out of money, and if you're going to spend money on bathrooms that maybe aren't absolutely necessary, you really need to think about that, because in about 3 years, you're not gonna be doing any capital projects at all.
Why don't we, let's skip down to see the discussion about COVID effects on the county. Do you have any numbers for that? 'Cause
I do have the
that'll
most
affect that number
recent,
too.
get that open here. I don't have it open.
No breakdown.
There's a map on the back.
There's where the bathroom is, but it doesn't have a breakdown of what potential savings that would be for us.
The only thing I have is what we've spent so far, which is 35,000. You probably can't see this, this is too small, but, we've spent 35,000. I don't know what is earmarked. I just saw some emails flying back and forth and some comments made that we are already over what our allocation is by $50,000 or something. And So I was like, well, if that means that we're gonna be spending this money, we're gonna have to pull it from capital.
Yeah, we just don't have a cap.
No, that wasn't the thought. The thought was to go through the list and decide what we don't
Okay.
do. Bathrooms on the list, gotcha.
Well, and I would agree, it's nice that you're a treasurer who backs up the what we've been talking about for several years and not having money in the future. And when it gets down to, I have to agree, do you want a bathroom? Or do you want to tell somebody they don't get county services in 2 years?
Well,
I'm just
true,
curious.
but the infrastructure, the bathroom, now's the time to do it. If you're gonna do it, we can weigh it back and forth. I'd like to see the numbers of what else we got coming. I had a question on this COVID, now I'm all over the board. The sheriff's overtime was way up compared to a year ago. Can't some of that be reimbursed through COVID or not?
I thought that when he was in here a couple weeks, or a couple, I don't
Yeah,
know,
he said no.
yeah, he said no, so I would guess not. Because if I remember right, they had to prove that certain hours, what they
Sure,
were
you're right,
doing, they had to document
That was one of
exactly
my
what was,
highlights I had, I wanted to ask about.
Oh,
I just wondered
okay.
if that was, reimbursable. I don't get more discussion, or what do you?
Should go do that estimate from MDS, see how much we would save with the bathroom.
Well-
It's not itemized.
maybe it's not much better.
He needs something so he can start.
Yeah, if we don't get started, we're not gonna get any of it
Yeah,
done.
we're not gonna get it done.
I think what we could do is authorize our, less with consideration of the bathroom.
I wanna hold back a certain dollar amount for now, and then we can always.
That room is just chucked out of the radio.
But we will need to know,
It's not there.
So, really, on the infrastructure, if it comes to electronic device later, I guess we can buy that down the road, but while we're doing it, we have to do the bathroom.
I mean, the other thing that is in play here, and I know, there's a $70,000 or $75,000 grant that has been, Representative Demmer has provided for the EOC, and right now Kevin has that plan for furniture, equipment. He has a good list, and I think it's the things that would outfit a good EOC. Some of that could also be, I don't see any reason in reading through the rules of the CARES Act that those funds could be used for construction as well. So I think that's what we've got to figure out. And I think if you give them the choice, well, we'll just have to see where that would play out, but I think.
Do we, allocate the dollar amount and give them the choice for that, or how do you, do that? And that gets a little fucking too, so.
But this has been approved by the full board already. We're just confirming it. We're getting ready to sign this contract and get them going. And I think we want to do that if we want to be done right.
I wasn't aware that when we approved it, we were talking about a bathroom in there.
Oh, yeah, that's always been in the plan. That's nothing new.
Okay,
It's just.
I guess I never saw the
Newly
print.
questioned, and nothing wrong with questioning. I understand where we didn't know exactly where we are with COVID, and I don't know that we do right now. So I didn't sit in on that session. It sounds like you were not involved, probably should have been too.
No, I don't.
Invited.
Want to be involved, but
Well,
sometimes sitting here, things that I'm just like, that's not really the best use of my taxpayer dollars, and they are my taxpayer dollars as they are everybody's.
Yep.
there's no bad challenge. I think, don't.
Right. And I'm a little horrified sometimes.
So if we're approved, you don't need approval to sign it, then. We already approved it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Right. So, Charlie is looking at this, and, we just said he had a few comments, so we'll get that taken care of before we have it signed, but that's
Share the
information.
comments with us?
Sure, you're looking at the NDS construction,
Sure.
right? I couldn't speak to the specifics of the work or the materials outlined in it, but when I was looking through it, it seems to be that if the work is not completed by December 1st, it's expected that it would be completed shortly thereafter, but everything would have to be paid by that December 1st date, as we were talking about with the grant as it was anyway.
Yes.
Is that gonna be an issue for reimbursement with the grant if the work is not completed?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, that's something that I'm a little concerned by.
We were gonna try to make that date.
Personally, I think I don't see a problem with changing the verbiage to say that it has to be done and built by then, and they'll just have to figure it out.
Okay, that's the only concern I have with that part. There's another part that says that subcontractors would be waiving any liens, and that would be prior to payments. It seemed a little premature to me because I don't know if the subcontractors have already been retained, if they've already been chosen or not, to say that they've already waived these liens.
No, they would waive them at each invoice. You know, like with the LEC project, they waive them each invoice cycle. They sign a lien waiver for that amount.
Okay. And then the only other thing I was thinking about was the payment schedules, making sure we're comfortable with that.
And that is 40% upfront, and then as progressive payments as they go, but it's so quick that it would be probably too much. Yeah, it would be 40% upfront for ordering materials and everybody.
So I don't know if we don't need any action on this then.
I don't think so unless anybody has any concerns.
The changes that he does, I think we're good. All right, more discussion on that? Key, do you want to, I want to back up the visitors, you got anything you want to share with us? Nope, okay. All right. Let's go to 2020 election security.
This again, we will be starting with our early voting on September 24th. And as I've said in the past, just depending on how our crowd is,
What you got?
if I need to reach out for a bailiff, I will, but I'm hoping to be able to not do that.
All right. Any more comments for that?
No, can we briefly back up to Dave
Yes.
on the fire alarm system and the shovel-ready grant?
Yeah, I can go back and go through that.
You want to go everything that?
Yep.
So we talked about, new emergency response center grant application submitted and hold by the state. I'd suggest we drop that. I don't think that's ever gonna happen. So in the future, we'll just drop that. The food pantry alarm system is still, needing to be done. We have the equipment and we'll get it in here shortly. I'm just carrying it for information. The shovel ready grant for demo of the old jail, and you said you signed that and it has been submitted via mail. We haven't gotten confirmation that the state has it yet, but we were able to get that through the public process and that's been submitted. For new courts building, we've talked about. And the Lanham Wake phone system upgrade, that is started here in this building. The LAN upgrade is started. I have the contract for the new switches, network switches for both buildings. We'd like to get signed this week. So that will continue on. We'll move right over to the new courts building and do the fiber work over there. We're still looking at the fiber between the building. There's a couple of options there. We still need to select we're waiting for an updated bid on the actual phone system, the hardware, and the setup and training and all of that. We believe that'll be reduced. They're looking for better pricing from Avaya, and we want to take advantage of that before we sign that part of the contract. That's about it for that, unless there's questions.
Are you still gonna, I would still investigate a bid to go across, put our own
Yes,
across.
yeah,
there?
that's the other option.
And
Yes.
we'll weigh our.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an attractive option to put into, what I would say, Cindy has an option to put it in and then charges a monthly fee of $250 a month, for the duration forever. Still an attractive amount really in the marketplace, but, it is really private fiber and we have the option of putting our own in. It would cost more. And the question is, we had to avoid the monthly fee and that type of thing. So we're looking at that.
It's gotta be payoff to own our own fiber too, and is it as fast, bandwidth as good as what we would normally?
Yeah, I don't think it would be any difference there between the two options. It's really, and if we put in our own, you still have a monthly fee for Julie to locate it, so it might be $100 a month instead of $250. It's not a free ride, and there are some risks involved. And one of the options Jim brought up was over the arch, and I would like to pursue that. That actually isn't a bad idea.
There, might as well loop it over.
Yeah, so what we talked, I tried to
You can go over, that's a lot better than going under.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's still quite a bit of under, but it's, that Route 2 is Route 26 is the problem.
Yeah.
Or guard installation for the old courthouse is still pending. We have those, there's some countertops that are being replaced and once those are replaced, those needs guards and those doors and those two areas. But that's all I have.
While you guys are on, Kevin just jumped in.
Oh, thank you.
Dave, I got something to for the sneeze guards. Yesterday we had Dixon Glass come back and remeasure, to make sure that our countertops and everything, we're gonna match up to what they had measured. And so we got everything approved on that. We're hoping to start on Paula's area next week, because we do have the counter for that. And then we're gonna coordinate with Wendy. She's ordered the countertop for her area. So as soon as that comes in, we'll get those tops in, and then Dixon Glass can come in behind us and put the sneeze guards. They're building the posts and everything for it right now.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
Is that everything?
I did ask Kevin if he could come in and he could probably give us a little bit of idea of the total of the CARES Act and what we're, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
So the questions that nobody in the room really were as well informed as you are in terms of CARES Act reimbursement, what the total the county is eligible for and where we're at right now.
We're eligible for, and I'm not in my office, I just pulled over the side of the road to jump in. 548,000 and some odd dollars, and I don't remember, I think it's 371, but please don't quote me on that, so.
Okay. And with what has been submitted and what is planned to be submitted, are we under that or over that, and by how much?
We've not submitted a dime,
Okay.
because I want to make sure that what we submit is what we need to submit. I don't want to be, my goal is, and I told the sheriff this yesterday, my goal is to spend every dime of that and not have anything come out of the county expenses. So to make us just get all the money we can without any expense to the county.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we may need just to have a future meeting really to decide what where we're at with that and what needs to go and what needs to change.
We need to put it on a spreadsheet so we can track it and know when we have it available.
Okay.
I have the estimates and projections on a spreadsheet currently of what I see. You know, again, it has to be directly related to COVID. We have to think about doing maybe a COVID testing site. We have to be prepared for that. We have to be prepared if this vaccine does come out, to be distributing this vaccine to 36,000 people in the county, not only in pods or point of distribution, being at like a fixed location, but also at some location or multiple locations within the county where people can come get a drive-through, get it. And if what we're hearing on the news is true, that takes 2 doses. So you have an initial dose and then a second dose. So some of the stuff that I would like to purchase for the COVID is to make sure we can accommodate that out of the COVID funding.
I was under the impression some of that vaccine is gonna be like minus 70 degrees Celsius. Is that true, or is that?
That's what I've heard. I've not seen anything in fact yet. Again, that's a little bit out of my lane of traffic, Bob. That's a Kathy question, but yeah. So then, how do we keep something at that temperature to keep it safe to be distributed? Is another question, and I don't know if anybody's came up with an answer for that.
That's where it come up. I sit on the Board of Health over there, and that's what they were talking. So if you're gonna have a mobile unit, that's gonna be hard to
Yeah, well, even a fixed unit, how do we keep something, at that temperature in a fixed area? So, and my understanding, it needs to be reconstituted then. It's at that minus 70, then you take it out, you reconstitute it, then you need to warm it, then you need to inject it. So I think there's still a lot of things unknowns right now, but that's my knowledge at this point.
Why I brought it up is do we need to save something of that 548 for something like that is what I worry about.
Yeah, I'd like to plan for that. Again, it's an unknown, so then the other key factor to this is, and on December 1st, they will begin to redistribute funds that are not expended. So let's say we spend half of it, and half of those funds are remaining on December 1st, then they go away and they get redistributed to somebody else. Vice versa, if we spend 600,000, they'll redistribute funds and we have the chance of getting some of those funds back.
How is that, the order of, how is it chosen then? How do you, percentage of everybody, wait?
I don't know the answer to that. This grant is not a normal grant. A normal grant says you can apply for X, Y, and Z, and you'll be approved. This grant is send me what you think you need, and we'll tell you if it's approved or not.
When you talk about things that are spent by December 1, does that just mean spent, or do you have to submit this by December 1?
Everything has to be submitted, including a copy of the ledger showing that it's been paid for.
Okay, thank you.
Do you see them extending that date at all with this COVID still going on?
I don't, because it's a federal act, and I think there's probably some legislative guidance there. I don't see it going to the future. Do I see a second round, maybe, depending on how COVID goes in 2021? Possibly.
Kevin, John Nicholson. Rather start sooner than later. Last I saw the expenses, you had them tentatively on your whiteboard there at your office.
Yes.
If we were to have a meeting,
Yep.
we need to see that on some sort of spreadsheet. You have the ability to do that next week sometime?
I do have it on a spreadsheet, and it's some are estimates, some are quotes. I'm going to throw this back to Dave for a minute. One of the big numbers is the construction of the EOC. Where that comes in, that's going to move all the other numbers naturally.
So that's a 223, 268, 73, which I think is where we were before.
Okay.
The piece that we considered earlier was the Procon piece will be on top of that.
Okay. That was another
16.7.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, there's still some numbers to be, I think, gathered, and because Dave did, and I hate to get in the weeds here, but did we get our IT costs in there?
I believe it is.
Okay, all right, okay. So I think that's a good number then, if we've encompassed everything. We just need to look at the other things, and maybe, I don't know who wants to discuss it. But again, my real concern is that you know what's being submitted, and that's what's going down to Springfield for reimbursement, and that somebody at a county board executive level gets to approve this.
So do we wait till we're done, or when we pay the 40%, do we put that in to be reimbursed right away? How do you foresee that as we go?
I foresee that we need to have a meeting ASAP, and you say, yeah, that's a go on that, because again, it needs to be purchased, and it needs to be gone through the ledger. And once the ledger and the invoice and the narrative are submitted, then it's good. And then they'll review it, and they have a contractor that's doing this, a third party that's doing this reviewing. So I don't know anybody with that third party contractor. I don't know how their feelings are. I don't know what their plans are.
Any more conversation, questions? John, did you want to say something? Just, you want to talk back? Yeah. All right, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, all right, thanks.
Well, that we need no action on that, there's an update. Good discussion of, so the COVID effects on the county finances, when do we try to get reimbursed for that? You send that in now, or do we
I think that the only thing that's gonna get turned in is into this grant. So the 35,000 is part of what was, my understanding was gonna get turned in for this grant.
We can turn that in any time, right?
I'm not involved with that grant actually,
Okay.
so I don't have an answer for that.
Kevin, are you still with us?
I am, I'm still here.
We've got like $35,000 tied to COVID. Do we send that in for reimbursement now, or do you wanna wait on that?
Yeah, no, we're gonna start collecting that again on those, portable, USB drives that were purchased to do that. So, those will be sent around again, and it'll, again, need a narrative. It needs the invoice, and then in the end, when we go to submit, we need a copy of the ledger that can justify each one of those purchases. So if something was, I just heard you talking about Dixon Glass, so it'll have to say Dixon Glass for $10, for sneeze guards in X office with a little narrative, and then the ledger will have to show Dixon Glass, so that we can correlate, they can correlate, but I don't want them calling back and saying, what is this, what is that? So if we can correlate that ahead of time, maybe things will go smoother on our side with them. They'll maybe approve more things if it's easier for them.
Will you have a department head meeting before you do this, or how do we, a meeting so you know all the department heads understand how to do this, or what, how are you gonna?
I've been sending emails out, send an email out. We first started with the public assistance program from FEMA where they were gonna reimburse 75-25. There was a short date on that. FEMA's now extended that date a couple times, but talking with some of my counterparts in other counties, why do we want to go through all the work of FEMA when we can go the short route and get 100% back? So counterpart down in Henry County submitted for his deputies overtime, and I don't remember how many thousands of dollars it was. FEMA came back and said, oh, by the way, we need an hour for hour. What did they do every hour of that time of that overtime? Well, there's nobody that manages that way. Yeah. So going this short route, submitting overtime for the sheriff's deputies for transporting these patients, these inmates that were being held for such a long time, if we can show that they started on X date at X time and went to X point and returned, I think that's going to be reimbursable.
So going with that, the money we're trying to get from the state for the inmates we kept from the DOC, we're gonna go through this grant to get that money, or is that a different grant? Or would we be better up to follow through with the lawsuit on that?
Now, that's where we need to have a couple people sit down and do a discussion on this, what the best route is. With this grant, with the CURE program, it's really not a grant, it's a CURE program where it's an allotment that we can apply for. You can't ask for money from two different funding sources. So we couldn't ask for I'm assuming the lawsuit would be considered a funding source. So I don't think we can ask for it two ways. We can only come out at 100%, not any better than that in the end. So same way with FEMA. They expect that you're going to have some skin in the game, so that's your 25%, that's their 75, but you can also put in-kind things in the FEMA, but FEMA is just so much harder than it is to go with this CURE program. CURE program appeared after the FEMA public assistance program was open, so I'm inclined, as 4 or 5 of my counterparts that surround us are also inclined, just to go directly with the CURE program.
All right. I was just thinking if we move that to the lawsuit, it would free up $50,000 if we needed to, but then we might not get paid, you know?
Well, that's my worry. Again, I hate to take up all your time at this meeting, but I'd sure love to have a meeting, sit down and discuss this in detail, have some plans other than my eyes on this to see how you'd like to go. This is $500,000, so it's a lot of money we're talking about managing here. So,
all right. Well, I'd be glad to sit in on that if we do that.
okay.
I'll get.
Sounds great. I appreciate that. All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? I don't think there's any action we need on any of this, is it, Dave?
I don't think so.
All right. We did this with election security. I jumped the gun there. We did the COVID effects on the county. Anything else on that, Paula? I think we
No,
covered that.
that's all I have.
We got the CPACE, resolution. I think we're gonna table that if we could. I need a motion to table that another month.
Move, so moved.
Jim?
Second.
Marilyn, second that. All those in favor to table that, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Let's go to new business. Newport's building, broke out card meter, I guess.
The sheriff covered that earlier.
Yep. Video conferencing for the boardroom, subcommittee meeting rooms.
I'll cover that. We have PSIC looking at that. I was hopeful to have a bid this morning, but do not yet have it. So we're pending a bid, and then that'll be part of the discussion with Kevin. That is something we believe would be very COVID related, and would like to have it.
That's for here, Dave, right?
Yeah, for this room and for the big room.
I think we might as well set it up. This is.
It's gonna be a permanent thing.
Yeah. This is how we're gonna.
Make
This
something
is, no,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
let's get something permanent in place. Will somebody from IT department be involved with that?
Sure.
Okay.
I would welcome that.
Okay.
They'll have a proposal. I mean, they're actually
I'd like to,
essentially designing a system, and
exactly.
we'll have the.
And I'd like to be familiar with the equipment
Yeah.
and the system they're designing
Yep, absolutely.
in order to support. Okay.
And that's all on that. More to come.
Did they give you an idea? I mean, 10,
No,
20,000?
did not.
That's such a,
I would suspect it'll be more than that.
yeah. Well, I think we need to get set up to.
I mean, what they are, they're gonna provide us an option of using the existing sound system, which I think can work, or replacing the sound system as well. And that will be a difference. And then this will have to be a whole system in here.
I'd like to do that.
Is there talk of this replacing the mic system?
He's gonna provide us both options.
You know,
What we have there isn't bad, but it's not.
it's not good. If you got through any of the budget, or not, excuse me, not
It'll
budget,
run
some
out,
hearings.
it'll run out in the middle of it.
We need something that's, goes right to the, YouTube or Zoom, something that.
Well, this is separate from that, but the mic system itself,
You know, during the zoning hearings,
should be
they were
upgraded.
pooping, the mics were pooping out, and Dee was running around with a mic
Yeah.
for this person and
Yeah.
that person, and it was,
It just looks hokey.
it is okay.
But as soon as I get that.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go to new business C, new carpet.
Yeah, the new carpet, this is just informational. We have in our budget for 2020, 10,002 for carpeting. And actually, these areas are some of what we're looking at, but it sounds like there's also a need for Judge Klein's courtroom. So we'll spend that to the highest
Put them at
priority
the bottom of
areas.
the list, right?
Yeah, bottom of the list, no,
Come from finance, right?
just information. Bob said.
Yeah. Charlie.
He wouldn't even
Back in Judge Klein. Bob putting his
I'd be happy to.
Here comes the restraining order.
Pretty soon he's gonna pop up. Is that really such a bad thing to get that restraining order? Sign me up, right?
Who's the key restraint?
Alright, let's go to D. There's an excellent idea comes from Dave. Dave, you wanna share?
Yeah, as part of the jail demolition grant, actually Greg Gates said one of the items that helps score the grant 3 points higher is if we could get at least 0.9 tenths of a percent, 1%, let's say, private party donation, and we were able to get that. So that is included in the grant application.
We almost were gonna pass a hat, so.
Yeah, we were considering it. So it's about $15,000.
And we have that secured?
We do.
Nice.
I mean, it is only gonna be given if we are successful with the grant, but yes.
And you're all right with that? They ran that by you?
Which one?
The 1% private donation?
I don't know that we did. I didn't think that.
I probably need to talk to him about that on break, so.
Okay.
Do some funky stuff.
I wonder what that was on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have to do anything on that. Tourism, the administrator fee for 2020. I think I looked, there's what, 750 or,
Yeah,
so we charge an admin fee for all the dollars brought in and we distribute it.
1.5% is what we keep.
And so the tourism dollars are down $50,000 somewhere in there this year, and I mean, then people need that money. So I was hoping that we could do away with that administrator fee for the year, fiscal year, to pay that money out instead of keeping it.
Discussed that last month.
Yep.
Motion.
Do we need a motion, or how can we do that? I entertain a motion.
So moved.
John, second. Dave, seconded.
And specific motion is,
To,
Redistribute the administrative fee that the Lee County keeps for the tourism dollar collection. And redistribute it to, not very well, but redistribute it to the R2 contractors
And this is for this budget year, correct?
for this
yeah,
budget
for
year.
this budget year.
Two contractors are City of Dixon and Lee County Tourism.
I have a first, I got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Speaking with my tourism hat, I do appreciate that.
Betcha. Sickage update. I think I had to put that on there. Is there anything we want to talk about sickage, or is it, the bill come in at what, 2,800 this month? So, I mean, we're still, what are we for the year?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't get to it from here.
I think we're at
We've had several
35.
very good months, but this one was a little high. First of all, I had some discussion with Jenny Andrews on getting together exit interviews and compile one question, send it out for approval and so on. and Council quick, and then also the sheriff had some discussion on his new hire. That's why it was out.
All right. Any other discussion on that? I just brought it up, we're doing budget times, we need to talk how well that's going, we're gonna keep that direction. Denise, is the department head, is it working for the department heads? You haven't had to use them?
No.
Okay.
Well, I've had questions and then, for instance, I had a question on, as a department head, what actual documents am I required to have in the employee file? And, because the files get thick and what can go, what can't, what is the level of retention? She sent me out a list immediately.
Okay.
I mean, I've always had really good response and discussion.
That's good to hear. All right, let's go to ongoing budget workshops, revisions and adjustments.
Okay,
How much do we got? I wanna maybe take a break here real quick. Can we do
we could, let's wait.
that? We only got about 40 minutes. Do we get wrapped up?
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a 5-minute break. Paul, I sent you a text message too. You got it?
Downstairs, I'll go get it.
No. I just want to talk to you.
Zoomers, I'm gonna mute us.
Go ahead, Paul.
So this is where this is back to the summary page. So right now, the general fund is 443 in the hole after we just made that $60,000 adjustment from the public safety fund. The only outstanding items that you guys had kind of talked about at that last meeting was the jail meals and whether or not that could be, and there was some comments about the bailiff raise and how much of that was budgeted into the current budget and if that would change, and then the adding an IT position. So.
I think we had some questions about the jail meals, and I talked to Sheriff. And,
okay.
He's on right now, I think, John. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
I think we had some questions about the trustees. If you didn't have the trustees there, you told me you're always going to have 2 trustees. Is that correct?
Yes, part of the contract.
And what was the other concerns we had, Tom?
I think the trustees was part of the understanding.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, John, how much, I don't have the number in front of me, but they quoted you a price based on number of people. And we'd like to think the jail would have less people in it. And how expensive did that get? I mean.
They gave us a quote on the average daily population, yes, Tom. And the quote was between 40 and 49. So if we have roughly 45, we average 45 inmates per month. That cost throughout the year then would be about $147,000 for this entire contract.
Okay.
Right now, we're sitting at 36 today. So we're generally in the mid to high 30s, absent housing all the EOC per year.
And their price, if you were lower, your price went up per person, which is understandable. But would that stay within that same range?
Yeah, in that range, we're being charged $8.95 a day per inmate. So as long as we stay in that range, that will be the charge. If it goes below that range, then it drops down to, I think, $7.95. Remember the contract. $7.84.
Okay, but if we drop down to like 25 or 30 inmates, then the price went up. Let me try and explain it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. You're correct.
So substantially, I guess, if the inmates go down and the price per person goes up, we still stay in that same price range? You understand what I'm saying? In other words, if instead of charging $6 a day, they charge $8 a day, but we have less people, does that number still stay in that same range you quoted us? Am I making it?
As long as our average.
Yeah, they should offset.
That's, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
As long as we stay in that average daily population of 40 to 49, we're charged $8.95 per inmate. You are correct. If we drop to 30 to 39, the rate per meal per day is $3 or $3.576 for a total $10.70. So it does go up with less population.
And that's understandable. Okay. I think that was the questions that we had.
I think
That was basically, the trustee was my
Yeah.
not understanding.
As long as there's always 2 trustees, we'll be fine.
what was the cost? I don't want to reiterate it, but rehash it, but if we only had 1 trustee, it went up.
If we didn't have any, it went up 75 cents a meal, didn't it?
72.
Yeah. The rate on the contract, Tom, for the whole committee, the rate assumes that at least 1 to 2 trustees workers per shift would be working in the kitchen. 1 to 2 trustee workers.
Okay. And we'll still need to buy some equipment for the kitchen for this, right?
Yes, and that totaled approximately $9,000, which is something we expected whenever we started this, because we didn't buy that equipment because we didn't want to start the warranty on that equipment and not use it.
Will we have any pushback from the committee where you've been buying these meals? Will we have any pushback again?
From the local vendors?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they're especially Oliver's. I mean, this has been, we've had a great relationship with them. They've done a nice job. And I don't feel good about that part of it at all. But unfortunately, we're also teeter-tottering between the dietary meals, the calorie counts, the food handling now, especially since COVID has entered our world. And those are some of the things that we cannot overcome by having local vendors handle the food and then prepare it and then bring it to the jail and then us handle the food and then take it. And we've had 4 or 5 inmates become diabetic since they've been here. So we've got to be careful with the type of food service that we have and the handling of food service.
Any more questions on that?
It shows savings, and what Olivia's gonna be able to do, shouldn't have to plan meals too.
All right.
Late to the game here, thank you. With these, the meals will be a variety. I know you said you've had a couple inmates develop diabetes, and I assume that's because they've had, pizzas and sandwiches and too many starches in their diet. And so will these meals have fruits and vegetables and a balanced meal, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. They have to conform with the jail standards now, and actually there are 5 corporate dietitians on this that are included with this food service. So we always have somebody that's watching food, and they annually meet with DOC to comply with any new standards that may be implemented at the first of the year.
Were we meeting standards as we were in the past, as we were doing in the past?
No.
But we can't make them eat healthy.
Yeah, but we gotta provide a healthy meal.
We can also only offer them healthy meals.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Thanks, John. Stick around, we got more to discuss here. The bailiff race we got up next. Currently they're 16, what are they right now, 16.65?
16.65, I believe.
And in the budget, we moved them up to $18, I think we give them $1.35. I think, John, you asked for $2, is that correct?
Looking for 175, but I just based it on the minimum wage hike this year. And then, of course, we got another one coming up next year to just kind of keep them commensurate with those wage hikes. But, and that was what we talked about at the budget workshop.
So 18 is what we've got in the budget now, so if that works.
Yeah, I looked at the bailiff fees, year to date, up until the end of July, July 31st, we're at $55,000, bailiff fees we charge, and we're right at $10,000 higher than last year, so I mean, I don't know what we're doing different, because the court's been down. I don't understand why that's higher, but,
Part of the help that we had there, Bob, was through that, study that we had done about a year and a half ago through Bellwether. So that helped increase our fees because we were charging less for particular fees each year. We hadn't updated those since, I think 2010, something like that.
So they went into effect on the 2020 year, not 19?
They should have gone into effect, I believe it was April 2019. So we didn't have a full year in 2019.
Remember what they are.
I know.
That reorganization of all of those fees, did that affect bailiffs also, or was that outside? I can't remember.
Bailiffs weren't directly, this much goes to bailiffs, it's this much goes to a conglomerate of, but here's the thing, we're still collecting fees that were ordered under the old way.
Oh, okay, so that might be what's coming up.
And so those cases are being paid off by monthly payments, so, I mean, I believe we won't see a drop down in some of these things far beyond the 18 months. I mean, I think for the next 18 months, we're gonna stay at that higher level because the fees were ordered at that old payment, that old schedule, not the new.
Well, because we didn't have court for what,
Oh, but 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
Yeah.
so that's why it surprised me they're up as high as they were.
Because payments still had to be made and people still could drop off and they could still pay online. And still can, they don't have to come, but they're still paying, the cases that were ordered were on the old, a lot of those monthly payments that we're getting are on the old schedule.
That's gotta be where that's coming from then, but the other fees were down, that's why I'm just surprised the bailiffs was up, so.
Right, but I know the traffic fees were down.
But we're at 18.
Yes, because the traffic tickets are down.
Right. We're at $18 an hour, and that gives us room to move the next January, next year's budget. As we tax the minimum wage,
Take another dollar, it'll be another dollar.
yeah. So I think, any more discussion? I think we're gonna leave it there.
I'm fine with the 18.
All right.
Thank you for considering that. I appreciate it.
You bet, John.
I do too.
I mean, this is what's in the budget now, and I think it was just a matter of, did anything need to change based on what the admin committee is looking at, adding to the IT department. So, I mean, right now, we have a full-time position that was 70 available. It may not be needed. In that case, it'll just leave that much in the contingency fund, in the contingency line item.
Did that, I didn't go to administrative and doing,
I didn't go to administrative either, but, I don't think they got anything totally resolved yet.
There's another executive session.
And most of that was, discussed in executive session, so.
There's another executive session on the 17th before county.
okay. Well, then we have to leave that in the budget because we don't know where we're going with that.
Right. Okay. And other than that, so, that was really all we had to talk about. You do have, this is basic estimation of cash, where I think we're gonna end up with cash at the end of the year, this 2.5. So we do have enough money to go forward with the budget as it is, unless there's some other changes you wanna make or looking into anything else.
My opinion is, just my opinion, we leave it like she's got it up there. We're gonna have some fees come in that we are gonna surprise us before this fiscal year is over. It's gonna eat up that $443,000, so.
That'd be great.
So I think we're all right.
We're all right, okay.
I'd rather pull it out of capital, I'd assume, I always like to have that. So what's our annual general, was it $10 million? Be nice to have.
Revenues, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we really haven't addressed our levies yet for this year, have we?
Yes, they're in there.
Okay.
It's in there, and basically, because of one of the web coming online, not the web, oh my God.
Seeing that's going down.
The wind, the wind repower down there. We haven't done the levy, but Wendy's first estimate was we're gonna get an extra 450.
Okay.
250 of that is in here, 200 of it is in the highway department. Since they have been dropping. So as far as, the total revenues that is budgeted for next year, it's 10.5 of revenues coming in, and
To show us the budget.
Yeah.
When that comes back, you almost put.
10.8 in expenses, and then a couple of transfers out for EMA and
She can't keep track of minutes.
I know.
highway.
Might have 2 years.
Sidebar, what? There's only 3 sidebar conversations going on at the same
Yeah,
time.
what the hell are you talking about?
I'll wait till you're done, go ahead.
Okay, so in the general fund, we have right now budgeted here's all of the revenues going back. So 18, we collected 2.4, 19, we collected 9.9. We budgeted for 10.2 for the current year, and next year we're budgeting for revenues at 10.5.
So what would we need to have in there to feel comfortable? 2.5 million?
Oh, as far as a fund balance?
Yes.
Um,
I'd like to have 6 months, but that's hard to do, so.
yeah, 6 months is $500,000. Right now you got you got 25%.
So what I'm saying, worst case scenario, some dried up, our funding dried up, which,
Right.
we got.
We got 3 months.
Yeah.
We got 3, if everything went away, we got 3 months.
Yeah, I always like to look at that number, so that puts it in perspective. Yep. Go ahead, you got a good idea here.
Well, what we've done in the past, as Bobby mentioned, is that we pulled some money out of solid waste. For, there's a plug hole for the EOC or LEC. And that, we've got 900,000 sitting there. We can use that solid waste fund to reduce reduce that 443,000.
You can?
And if we end up, if revenues come in like they should, I just want that number better.
Okay.
And instead of constantly going back to capital, you know, my attitude towards that solid waste fund is a little different than my predecessors. You know, those dollars are our dollars. And you know, if we have a problem out in the landfill, I understand that was designated to take care of an issue, but we're on the hook for that. And if we had an issue out in the landfill, we're
getting out of the landfill.
Yeah, no matter what.
Buffer.
So to hamstring our budget, just trying to keep as much money as solid waste, I think is a little short-sighted.
I think you got the 200,000 going into it from the tipping fees, correct?
Right.
Pull that up, you know, where do you got that going? I thought it
That,
said.
that pretty much spends itself.
Yeah.
I don't think does that go back in solid waste or?
Yeah, so, you know, we get 200, although we are a little higher than that so far this year. We're more like at 250. We're gonna collect 240, 250.
Yeah.
So, so let's just for fun increase this. So we end up 22,000 in the hole because you have all of the contractual services for recycling and everything that sucks that up, soil and water, some money for Dave, programming, you know. So you actually end up even at 240, you're 22,000 in the hole. So we did borrow from.
750 we took from them at one time.
Yeah, we and I guess my understanding was that was to be repaid.
Yeah.
So barring that, yeah, you got 900,000 there. But you can transfer money out of here.
But you know, this year we never took anything out of capital, and we had in the budget 500,000, so we always put that in there. The last 2 years, we haven't had to draw that.
Right.
Right, we haven't drawn anything this year.
So we're actually, you know, we can fund the whole lot of capital too, and then use it. Usually you've heard me talk this before, we have 200,000 to 300,000 come back home, like Kathy has, and everybody brings home. So we don't want to assume that, but really that's the reality of it. So I don't think we're that far off. I've got 330,000 going to come in at the end of the year in the county general. That
Okay.
I can think of some projects. So I think that county general is going to be flush.
Okay,
So you're saying.
so you want me to change revenues in county general that we think we're gonna get next year?
Let's go back to county general, look at it.
Okay.
Let's say we're gonna be okay, not flush.
Yeah.
Flush tends to have people want to spend money.
Yeah, right.
This is vague, right? I can
Yeah,
tell you
yeah, yeah,
that, because I don't.
I wouldn't use that flush word. Financial, yeah. Yes.
One thing that has changed since there was the meetings was, Representative Dimmer had, his funds had come through for the OC, but also he had committed $250,000 to capital for the county's, capital replacement. That was really phone, the exterior of the old courthouse, air conditioner, boilers. So, and that, what we decided was he wanted one of them immediately, and that is gonna be the OC wants one first of the year, as early in the year as possible, so that we would need to decide what we want to use that for. The hardest part for us to come up with would be the exterior of the courthouse, which is in that $500,000 range. So, do we want to?
Is a $500,000 range, how hard a number is that?
It's not, it was a budgetary estimate, but when you look at the amount of work, it's not far off. I suspect it might be able to come in at just a little bit less than that, but I don't think it's gonna come in at half of that.
I see, I was going the other way. I was a little concerned that we'd commit.
No, we have,
Because I just know my experience from across the
well,
river that,
I gotcha.
you know.
I mean, we could be surprised. We have only one mason that has looked at it. He provided us an in writing, budgetary estimate. And that would include, you know, taking and doing all the grout joints and then also removing all the sealing around the windows, the caulking and putting in new and resealing the whole building. And it was under $500,000 and he had some escalation. It was like last September that he looked at that for us. But in the bid process, you would hope might help a little bit, but there may be some other suggestions when others look at it too. But we have one written budgetary estimate.
Okay. What is our capital fund now?
That's what I'm trying to bring up here and get onto one page. So right now we have about at the end of the year, I think we're gonna have 3.3 million left in there. And that is not including the million, I think it was $1 million or maybe a little bit more than $1 million that we went to the LEC. I have to go double check, but so we've got, with all of the things that are in here so far, so the jail demo match, there's 450 put in there for that. IT for EMA, 30,000, 38,000, which is, I think, matching that EOC, matching the grant. It sounded like maybe we weren't gonna have enough money in the grant to pay for all the EOC upgrades. Replacement computers.
Yeah, what that was really was, the one area, we believe applies is the file system to get all those records out of there.
Okay.
And if that were to come back to us, if it deemed it not appropriate, but it enables the whole project, so we believe we'll submit it, but, that number will be a little bit smaller. I'll get you that. Yeah, I think we're at 32.5.
I would just take that out because I think it's part of that other project.
Yeah, okay.
And I would just take that out of there.
Take it out of here? Okay. So, whatever IT he's got in here, then this is IT's replacement computers and a generator for this building. Animal control software, I don't think she has a price for her indoor kennels, but she sent me some information, so I put in a budget of $8,200 for the outdoor kennel upgrade or run area or whatever they were talking about building. Dave's dump truck, they want conference room chairs for somebody's conference, one of the judges, I don't remember which one. The sheriff's squads, you know what, I think he actually put 124,000 in there this year, so. The phone system, carpet replacement. These are one of the maintenance trucks for this year and a lawnmower. And that's it. So that comes to $1 million for this year.
Could that maintenance truck be a used truck? I mean, you buy a lot of trucks with 25,000 miles on them.
Really believe that it makes sense to do it, I would tell you, because of the discounts we get and the warranty and all of that. You might save $18,000, but it's, you know, in terms of trade-in value, warranty and all of that.
Right there with the tank.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, $1 million, since I've been here, we've never spent that capital a year, so that scares the bejesus out of me. So let's go back up, but we have to have the 450 in there, you take the 450 out, whether it's, so let's make it relevant. The 450 is for the jail, so that's a different project. So I took, and the squads come out of a different fund, now we're putting them in here, so if you had
Yes.
450 and 124, you were at, what, 574? So then you're, I guess that's doable then, I guess.
Yeah, then it gets down to about what you usually spend.
Yes, that's where I was going with that, thank you.
Yes, that is where it gets, where you get down. Okay, so you have,
So.
Yeah.
Quick question, please. I thought the match on the jail demo was 336 or something like that.
I was just going from memory, but it's somewhere in that 345 range.
Yeah. So we just put that in for padding or, you know, why was that?
Change that number to 334, that makes me feel better. You know, I could agree with that now, you know, if you, that jail, but so, Tom Dimmer's, thing, do we have to tag money for that, or how do we do that?
I don't believe there's any matching requirements, so we could use it for any of the things that we've approached him with. And the boilers have been talked about, the air conditioning units have been talked about, the old courthouse exterior, actually the perimeter wall, finishing that.
Well, the reason I'm getting at is that we have to have it earmarked, we have to put it in here, so we get that.
Right.
If that, I think we address that, if we get the grant at that stage, we can sit down.
Sounds like we have got it.
It's a good, we got it.
It's a
Yeah.
given.
We've got 250,000, then I would think apply that to the courthouse exterior, because we're never gonna go up to 500,000.
No, that's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah, and we can't start redoing the inside till we fix the
Yeah.
outside, so,
It's been sadly neglected for quite some years.
let's put 200,000 in there for that, right now, 250, I guess.
One thing, Dave, I didn't mean to overstep you, but I did talk to Greg Saunders the other day. He's getting a bid for a standby generator for this courthouse. There is
Yeah,
no
it's on
standby generator for this courthouse. What that cost will be, I have no idea.
There's 15 in there for it.
Okay.
15.
So we're getting,
We will just be able
we're
to,
getting 250 this fiscal year
No,
or next fiscal
That'll
year?
be next.
Next, after the first of the year, and if we do it for the old exterior of the courthouse, we have to wait for the spring thaw, but he wants it processed early next year. And, getting that decision now will help us.
yeah,
in
that'd be
terms of
money
getting
well
bids
spent.
and-
Yeah.
And then you said it could come in two chunks, so it'd be 250 and an additional, or?
No, the two that Tom had committed to Lee County was the OC, which is.
Okay, all right, then.
75.
And that's on its way.
It's hard to keep all this
So that's
separated in the money.
That's, gonna happen this fiscal year.
Right.
And then the 250.
Okay, so that's two chunks.
You wanted to know which one to process first. Dave and I discussed that the 75 would probably be a fitter for this
Because of
fall.
what's going on.
250 next year.
Right now.
We can't get into the exterior of the courthouse this year.
So, let's go back to county general. Once again.
Okay, well, where is that for the, with that 250 in there, what was the bottom number?
You can take the 250 out of the next year.
I took it out of next year, so I added a revenue source. Actually, where does this go to? There.
Then the old, if you're adding the source, the old exterior would be 500. If I'm thinking right.
Right, so it'd be 250 this year and the other 250 next year.
21 and 22.
She's got
21.
250 She's got 250 up above, so.
Yeah, I got 250 coming in as a grant that's gonna offset this 250. And then there's another 250 here.
No, it's gonna be 521.
Yeah.
It's only offsetting half of it.
So I think you got it that way, you got it. You got it. Okay,
Yes.
That's what I wanted to see.
Okay,
no, you're fine.
gotcha. So you're here.
So now we're back to you being scared.
Well, he's not alone. Yeah,
You gotta consider the big ticket items that are there.
yeah.
You know, without that 250, I don't see us being able to do the courthouse exterior.
No, I agree, but
But, yeah,
we're still not that many years down the road from how we're gonna run the county.
And we're not sure we're gonna get the grant across the shovel-ready grant either, but we got
No,
to prepare
right,
for it. We have to prepare for it. So I think, lovely it is, I think you're gonna have to do that. I think capital's gonna have to look that way.
Once we get all this done, and we tear down the old jail, what's it gonna cost us to put this new building, and where's that money coming from? Well, you got some kind of a center to hold prisoners you're talking about.
Yeah, that I think in the long term would only be entertained with a grant or like we had a full grant.
So if we tear the jail down, the sheriff's okay with getting prisoners back and forth to.
Is that there, John?
Well,
Is that
let
right?
him speak for that, but yeah.
Sheriff?
I'll have to be.
So that's not being used now.
So, what,
Ideally, Tom, it's just, we'd love to have some holding cells, yes, at some point in time, but, I understand what constraints you're under, and we're hoping and keeping our fingers crossed for some kind of grant opportunity, but if it's not there, we're gonna have to make it work in some fashion. And so if we need to transport more,
Zach, you got the record button on?
Yeah,
if we tear that jail down, you are gonna be able to operate until we can come up with the money to build this holding cell thing.
I'll make something work. That's only, I have to, but I'm obligated to do that, so.
Well, no,
I
I just have some concerns of, it's 20 below zero and the snow's blowing and all of a sudden, how are we gonna do this? But, okay.
Well, the judges have been very, very good about
using our video arraignment system, even more than they have in the past. And so that is very helpful. But when we got to transport, we have to put them up in the DOC holding area, albeit not ideal for the reasons that we talked about in the past. We'll have to do that. And it's nature of the beast right now.
All right, I just, as we move forward, all surprises, because we still have to find a place for Kathy's voting equipment and all Kevin's stuff that's in the garages. And you say we rent something, but it's a cost, you know what I mean? It's just, okay.
We would have to deal with that, and apart from a grant, I think we would have to deal with it after the bonds for the new jail are retired. It's out there.
Thanks, yeah, then you've got the early bonds, so. All right.
Speaking of storage places, Sheriff, is, your storage building, fully occupied, or can we store some of this stuff out there? Like Kevin's stuff, I'm thinking.
I do have a lot of Kevin's stuff out there now, and yeah, it is pretty full. I did some measuring the other day because I know Kathy was concerned about some of her election equipment. Should we demolish the old building? And if I move a few things around, we may be able to get her election equipment in there. I'm still trying to finalize exactly everything that she has in the old LDC, but there's that possibility along the east wall that we might be able to store some of her equipment. But outside of that, Marilyn, no, we don't have any more room there. We got Kevin's big trailer and a couple other items of his, put a training facility in there on the south side of the building. So the guys can train indoors and room for and things of that nature. So yeah, we definitely put it to use.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions on capital? Anybody?
I had a question for Dave, regarding the, generator. Is there gonna be an external generator outside the building?
I believe that's what's.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big old industrial?
Yeah, this isn't one, I think this was for Mike's input. I didn't inspect this, I don't know.
I think for 15,000, you're gonna get one.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, because I heard 15,000 and I'm thinking, okay, one of them cats are 60, 70, 80, sometimes
Yeah,
more,
I
so.
mean, it depends, generators, replacement generators had to do with what you're powering.
Yeah.
I think this, my read on this was it was just for computer equipment.
Yes.
And if that's the
It came
case,
from Mike.
15 is probably
Oh,
adequate.
okay.
And it was to just, I think, keep things alive.
You use the
long
word
enough to-
generator and as
To shut.
opposed to
So maybe it's
battery
gonna-
backup
Yeah, it might
or
be more of a battery
UPS.
backup.
Okay,
What's
okay.
that?
I said it might be more of a battery backup, but I think it was like something to at least keep things going until maybe things could be shut down, so stuff isn't lost.
The word generator threw me off. To me, that's something completely separate, so.
Well,
Maybe I should-
what is being.
Should I change it to battery backup if I make?
I'm still, no,
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 he wants
no,
something more than-
don't change anything. I'm just asking a question.
Okay,
What
I
I would,
like it.
Okay.
yeah. This is Mike's line item, and I think we're open to either. 15,000, as you said, is not gonna buy a full
At
backup.
that cost, it sounds like
I think maybe if you're changing the line item, generator to support IT equipment.
Well, you could say generator / battery backup, or.
I'm gonna put IT.
UPS.
UPS.
Yeah.
Generator and UPS.
I'm,
Yeah, that works. / UPS.
I'm familiar with that. It was-
You know, but I think my
Just the word
issue
generator
was
was
that the
throwing me off.
UPSs didn't last that long. If
Yeah.
things went down, he wanted something that would give us more length, time length.
There is a big difference between a $300 UPS and a $15,000 one, so.
Let's keep going. So we can get to,
Oh, yeah,
let's go back to, county general.
yes. So, right, here is county general, here's the bottom line, down here somewhere, if I add in another 400, no, minus 450,000 coming from solid, no, not like that, but another zero. Your balance.
Just like that, we balance.
Yeah, man.
Very good, Mike, very good. County is good. So, if you go back up on the county general balance, those are where I want to look at.
That, you did like this?
Yeah, the starting lows.
Oh, okay.
So you're starting at 2.5 million and we're ending up at 2.5. you know, we could eat into that $500,000, it'll still be all right. And we're
I
gonna-
think we can, yes.
We're gonna start out about 2.5. I think we've got some fees coming in, so, you know, really, I don't think we're that
I think we're okay.
Okay,
far away.
alright,
Not
so
much, but okay.
you guys pretty comfortable with that? Any other concerns?
Okay, where'd the 450 come from? I just,
Solid waste?
didn't take that. Okay.
I offered
100 and all of a sudden went to 450.
Oh,
I
is
thought.
that, I can change it to 100, I.
The old inch mile.
I'm sitting there like, where is it? Love you, down there.
Thanks, guys, appreciate it.
I really thought you said plug the whole thing, but I can
I think you need
do,
to, I think you need to go back, take 100 out of that, take the rest out of capital, and then we won't pull it out of capital if we don't need it. How's that sound?
I don't wanna take any, why don't we just leave capital alone and just
Take
eat
it out
it,
here.
eat into the
The
fund
problem is
balance?
though, the problem is, we have nowhere to get it, if the problem goes, so we don't have to take it from capital, we put it out there. You follow?
True, alright, that's
So,
fine.
let's put it, take 100 out of his and, 350 out of capital.
Yeah.
And we don't have to pull it, if we don't have it in there, then we can't pull it.
Right.
And,
Don Farmer does stuff, you know? You know, he's. Now, everybody okay with that? How much contingencies in this budget though?
This budget has, I forgot, it is 160. And 85 of that is an IT position. So,
And we still got contracts to negotiate.
I think we put,
Yeah, we expect it.
so. How much is the minimum wage gonna affect this?
it doesn't create problems for any more than maybe one person. Okay. Is anybody gonna be below the minimum wage? There might be one new hire that is pushing that minimum wage when it goes up again to 11, I believe, in January.
So, but it's not gonna affect us greatly, then we're right there.
No, next year, with the new round of negotiations with contracts, they're gonna have to go up, and as I think I told you guys, I have some spreadsheets that I put together with some options, and, but I haven't had time to follow through with that, trying to get through taxes and setting this up.
In theory, we're gonna try not to pull that capital, so like we had in the last 2 years, so it's, I mean, I'm good with this budget, is everybody else?
Okay, so.
Yeah, I'm fine.
What the plan will be, and you guys have a new meeting, so what the plan will be is I will put this into the final format, around the 1st of October, so that it can go on file in October, and it'll be finally approved for the final approval in November. So there is a couple weeks if something comes up where you guys have this brainstorm, there's a couple of weeks before we are,
One quick
we're
thing,
in September.
I know we're the time, let's go back
Yeah,
to
2
zoning,
weeks.
see what we put in for zoning money. I think it was 500 for that.
Zoning is 500.
Okay, let's leave that, okay.
Okay. All right, so we good? All right, so anyway, that'll be my plan. In a couple weeks, I'll do the formal blah, blah, blah that's gotta go on file and, but anyway, so if anything happens in the next couple weeks, we can, I guess, talk about it again, but no plans to at this time.
So it's not gonna go on file this month, next month, so we got one more time to,
Yes, it'll go on file in October and November, as will the levy.
I might have some better, numbers by then next month too, so. we'll be ready.
Okay. All right,
That means more money.
No.
okay.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.